Hi, Corpse. Hello. We're playing. We're playing more of this. I started and I really want to finish the game. Am I going to finish it? Absolutely not. This game is like it got some hours. It got some hours. I'm in like 11 hours, and that's just because I've been bullshitting. But how's your night going? How you doing? Actually, I'm going to pause the music, and I'm just gonna get right to it. Sorry, Rihanna. Did I mess with the sound? Or does it just sound lower on my end? Probably. I'm doing good. How are you? My day. Was that today? It was today. I'm watching the baby tonight, but his ass been knocked out. Corpse. I promise you. I don't know what day it's gonna be. Get back in Discord. We gonna watch some Black Clover. We're gonna watch some JoJo's. You know, we're gonna do all those things. It just won't be tonight, but it'll be one of these nights. Okay. Especially because I pretty much just started this at like, midnight, knowing I got work tomorrow. But who cares? We're still with this lady. We're probably still gonna be with her or for all of three of these. You care that I have work tomorrow? I'm not gonna be live for like 2.5 hours at the most. Yes, the fuck. Oh. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Um, let's go to the Matsushita Diner. I don't really remember exactly where we left off, but I do know we had to go to all three of these places. I'm gonna just do them in order this time. 'Cause I really doubt um the presence of Iris will go away. And she's in like some weird uh an Illuminati. I'll be here to 12 a.m. because I gotta go to sleep. Okay, so for like 8 more minutes. Cool. Hi, Bushy. Ota and Mizuki were both in the diner.
Niset laws. I see.
Right, weird conspiracy. Right,
It's
right.
not impossible.
Oda spoke softly to himself, looking deep in thought. That name is dumb as fuck. It is. Nizit loss? Like, damn, if you was gonna make like a fucking conspiracy, could it have been like,
Iris, you look cold. You okay?
does it sound like a medication? It does, actually.
Yeah, fine.
What if her body is like slowly freezing and she already has stab wounds in her back?
I just get cold easily.
Somehow.
The room is 74 degrees Fahrenheit at 62% humidity. Not conditions often considered cold.
74 degrees? I don't know. That's pretty cool. I'm saying this as a Floridian, and by the way, please don't say anything.
Ota's like my big brother. He's a hero who will help me out of any jam. He's really important to me. I like him a lot.
How much?
Not that much, weirdo.
3 Earths worth.
Oh.
Yeah!
Mizuki is like a cute little sister. And my favorite friend. I like her a lot.
She simultaneously talks like she's 12 and 200. Like, I don't understand. Like, oh my god, Haddam! Hi, Haddam! How are you? I'm playing a murder mystery. We're like 11, 12 hours, technically, I think, deep into this. It's a lot going on. I don't know how to explain this game. You just gotta... You just gotta be here. She sounds like a 12-year-old that's smart as hell. I wish she would just shut the hell up. I want to see what's the fastest way to kill her, but I think I chose the wrong path for that.
How much? About 3 universes worth.
Damn. Oh. Was this just not voiced? Did they just say fuck this line in particular?
Aww.
Why was that one line not voiced? Actually, let's talk to Oda. Where's your mom?
She's out right now.
Doing what?
I'm not sure where. Shopping, maybe.
Iris?
Tessa is my hopes and dreams, my peace and my life.
All right. You can knock it off a little bit.
My light, my star, my sun, my goddess.
You can definitely knock it off. You can definitely knock it off. I love that you're streaming at this hour. I was dying of boredom. I get off work at 9 p.m. It's currently about to be midnight. I was watching someone else stream, so I was just like, oh yeah, they started streaming, so I'm not gonna do anything. And then, like, you know, I got caught up in their stream, and then I was bullied and harassed to stream this. So here I am, ready to live vicariously through you.
She's like the laws of the universe itself. The embodiment of beauty.
She's like 17 and you're 24. Leave her alone.
An angel, a lover.
A lover?
Cute mascot to put on a body pillow.
Um. Hi. Hi, Shu. Welcome in. How are you? Oh yeah, this is the raid song. Listen, you had to be in the streets for the anime music AMVs with Every Time We Touch as the background music. Hi Shu, hi Raiders, how are you? Hi Tiger Lily, welcome in. Now I'm coming in to Oda being on my screen. Let me go back. And not only is Ulta on your screen, Ulta is also being a creep right now, so even better.
A guru, a wife, a soulmate, life itself. She's the object of my total devotion and worship.
You're a freak. Get off my screen.
Snuck lover and wife in there.
Right.
I would ignore it.
And like I told you before, I'm Tessa's thrall.
Her thrall.
If she calls for me, I'll be there.
Alright.
Thanks, Ota. That makes me happy.
You don't look too happy. Ciao.
I've heard of them.
You've actually heard of Knights at Loss?
Nizatlos, or Nize, is a satanic secret society. Like a cult.
Thank you for giving Shu a shout out. I appreciate it. Oh, you weren't here. Apparently I almost called her Isis. Iris is being hunted by a secret society, allegedly. And we vowed to be her bodyguard.
They sacrifice children.
Oh, cool artwork though.
While the sacrifice is up all night screaming, the cult performs ritual acts.
Mm-hmm.
Their ranks are full of politicians, intellectuals, and business tycoons.
Politicians. So Sol Shijima, business tycoons, Rinju. Intellectuals. Who would be the intellectual in this case? I don't know. Maybe number 89.
They've only been active for a few decades, but some say that they've grown to be the largest secret society in the world.
More than the Illuminati?
An organization so big that it absorbed the Freemasons and the Illuminati.
Now I remember that they were horny as hell, but I didn't know they did all that. Oh yeah, they really they Bushy, there's like a whole page in like the little index for the Illuminati. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Is it the appendix? Yes. Literally a whole page for them. And now I have context for why. And then all of this bullshit that I'm not reading, like, it's too much. You know what? I've never been a conspiracy theory type. Me neither. Why is wait, cortisol? Why is that here? It's a stress hormone, but okay. Whatever. Elgorg? So like NASA? Or like Google turned NASA. I don't know. Because you're sure. Not the fucking. Hold on. Okay. I've adjusted. I freaking knew this shit. Wait. I was mentioning that this one bends at a weird angle. So it, like, you know, it had to like come back in at some point. And we're coming back in. So maybe there's like a root here that like ties back to this. If we somehow end up at the same place, I don't know. But I wonder what this root is. I don't know. Let's continue.
But even though their membership is huge, no one knows who their leaders are.
I would have thought Iris would have died in one of those paths, but I guess she doesn't. If they all come back to the middle. I don't know. Again, she's on the cover art. She's gonna be around a lot. I wish she just was around, like, you know, a little less.
Like, you've heard of the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, right? But for Nyes, there's nothing. No one knows who's running the cult. My guess is that they're being led by a group of super geniuses.
Ota doesn't know about the Wadshed system, or its connections to Nyes. Iris found out, which is why they're after her. Pieces fit.
If you believe everything she said.
Right, if you believe she's telling the fucking truth. Alright. She's trembling. Why are you here?
Well, Ota,
Date, can I...
Ota gestured and walked over to the corner of the room. I quietly stood up and followed.
Look, I was gonna let you have it, but under the circumstances.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
Mizuki, of course. You've been neglecting her.
Well, yeah.
Don't you think she's at her limit?
I mean, yes, she is at her limit. Literally all of her guardians have neglected her. Her mom, not worth shit, by the way. Glad she's dead. Her dad, also not really worth a damn. Date, not really worth shit. The only person who's like closest to her guardian is her damn elementary school teacher. And that's the only one she likes for real. We have to get her some friends quick. Mizuki's friends, it's this weirdo and Iris. Those are her friends.
Mizuki stayed at one of the mermaids' houses last night. She was twisting and turning all night. They had to sleep in the same bed so she'd calm down.
People way older than her? Right, like she does not have no kids around her age. She needs some new friends. Iris and Oda are demons. They are.
She called me this morning so I could pick her up.
You can drive?
Normally, she'd be in school, but Mizuki had the day off for mourning.
Oh, right. You know, in all of this that's happened, I kind of forgot her mom died.
I thought that she shouldn't be alone.
Wait, is Oda actually... Sorry for going back to this. Persons... Damn, bitch, what's your name? Ota. Yeah, he's 24. Is what to like, you know, her mom died? Yeah, her mom died. It's like the very first thing that you see in this game. It's her dead body on like a carousel in a park with her eye gouged out. Lovely game. That shit said light novel author. I'm pretty sure he'd just be writing fan fictions.
Why don't you try being nicer to Mizuki? I know she doesn't show it, but she's really hurting. She needs you, Date. She just doesn't want to trouble you.
She's a remarkable, brave young girl. You should try to understand how she feels.
If you're asking me, he's involved in all this, isn't he?
Mizuki is my favorite character, by the way.
Is he the culprit? Did he really kill Mom? Well, I guess it's understandable that he'd be a suspect.
You love a bratty, shoddy character, I see. Brat? Who else do I love as bratty? Hold on.
After Mom got killed, he didn't even call. They called me out to Bloom Park for some reason.
She seems the least annoying. She is. That's why she's my favorite.
I thought it was suspicious.
I don't remember enough about Boss or Pewter to know if I trust them. But I know for a fact I can trust Mizuki, so she's my favorite.
But I pretended not to notice. I didn't want to acknowledge it.
Aww.
I wanted to believe in Daddy.
A 12-year-old being 10 times more mature than Iris, right? Doesn't take much to have a fave in this game because most of them are annoying. My fave is the receptionist who showed up in one scene. Yes, the receptionist with the big breasts. Mm-hmm.
Who is Iris to me? A friend? A big sister? And I kinda
This
envy her.
gif is this emote is crazy. Why is there more? Of course.
No, stop it! It's true, though. I look up to you a lot, Iris.
So we're done here?
Right, Iris. Let's get going.
You got it.
Date, if something happens to Tessa, let me know, okay? I'll come help right away.
Me too! I'll save you no matter what, Iris. Thank you both.
Promise me.
I promise.
So what did we get from coming here? I don't understand. Besides, like, you know, that Mizuki is neglected and she needs somebody to actually, like, you know, give a fuck about her. Why did we come here? We could have learned that at some other place without the other two characters involved. Alright, shady politician time.
There's no one in the garden.
So must be inside.
Wait, I have detected a living organism in the garden. You should look around.
I don't like that. What do you mean? You behind the... What the fuck you mean somebody... There's a living... Are you talking about Iris? Girl, what are we... Oh. Is that Tommy? What are you doing here? Mind you, that man who was broke out of jail has been gone for 24 hours. It's probably halfway to Cuba. Listen, we clearly just stopped giving a fuck about him. Like, who cares if, like, you know, a mass murderer is just like on the loose? You know, a trained assassin. Who cares, right?
That's so. Next to him is... Hitomi?
It looks that way.
Why is she here?
Why? What's Hitomi doing with So?
Did he call her? Or did she come on her own?
Date? What's wrong?
Iris hasn't noticed them yet. I decided to ask her about
You
them.
said you don't know So Sujima, right?
Right, I don't.
What about your mom? Does she know So?
I don't know. I don't think she does.
Do you ever talk politics at home? Anything like that?
Not particularly. Why are you asking me this?
It was at that moment. Two bodyguards dressed in black came running out of the mansion. They had panicked looks on their faces. Excuse me?
We told you you can't come in here.
Oh.
You can't do what you want just because you're a cop. You're trespassing. That's a crime, you know. Get lost.
No use pushing it. If they called HQ, we would get arrested for sure. And what would happen to Iris? Who would protect her? I don't really give a fuck. Knives is a Q's organization. They have people everywhere. I don't like this conspiracy route. I wish I figured out how to, like, you know, deny the conspiracy route, but whatever. I can't risk being caught. Then I wouldn't be able to save Iris.
Fine. Let's go, Iris.
Yeah.
Okay, well that was fuck all. We know that Hitomi and Sosajima have a connection somehow. Now he's gonna look so stupid if Nice is all made up. He's gonna look real fucking dumb. Alright, back to the scene of the crime. I took Iris to Boone Park. I took my time, checking every inch of the merry-go-round.
There's nothing here.
Guess not.
Why did Renji come here Friday night? What day are we on? Is there a way to check? Is it the flowchart? How do I check what day we're on? I'm sorry, he came here on Friday night. Bitch, it's Tuesday. Whatever. Was it to place Shoko's body here? Or did he have another reason? Renju is my friend. I want to believe him, but I don't know how long I can keep defending him. Where is he? What is he doing? I've thought it over 1,000 times. My head is heavy with it. Iris suddenly snapped me out of it.
Want a race, Date?
No,
Race?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday.
you're not giving me
You
a
want
choice.
to challenge me?
Well, sure.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll start here and end here.
So, we race around the merry-go-round?
Right.
Because I don't want to race her.
Line up next to me.
Before I even had a chance to reply, Iris got set. I guess I have no choice. I lined up next to Iris.
Okay, here we go. Ready? Set. Go!
I couldn't believe my eyes. I thought I must be dreaming. A second after the race had started, I was already 2 paces behind her. I couldn't close the gap. I watched her back get smaller and smaller. So, what was the point of that?
See? Told you. Iris is the messenger of the gods.
You've earned your namesake.
I just stretched for 10 minutes and it was awesome.
Do you know a lot about mythology?
Yes, she fucking. Please don't get her started on mythology. Please, she's not gonna shut the fuck up. I'm glad you enjoyed your stretch, Adam. Because we're about. I hope you're ready for a very long-winded random explanation of some random mythological myth. I don't know if we're going Egyptian or Greek. Maybe she'll dip into Norse mythology this time. Who the fuck knows at this point?
Huh?
You said that Iris is a goddess in Greek mythology. And 3 days ago you were talking about Egyptian mythology.
Horus is the Egyptian god of the sky and sun. The right eye is the eye of Ra, and that's the sun. The left eye is the eye of Wadjet, and that one is the moon.
That's what Iris told me 3 days ago. Oh god, no, here we go. Yeah. Horus's left eye is the eye of Wadjet. Does that have any relation with the Wadjet system?
Oh, mythology? I actually don't know that much.
And you're gonna give us a still long-winded explanation, I bet.
Uncle taught me everything. 6 years ago, I used to come here with someone all the time. I used to call him Uncle.
Oh yeah, didn't he come up with Aset too?
Yeah, that's right. That name is rooted in Egyptian mythology too.
I guess I have to actually talk to you. How did you get so fast? She literally said she was on the truck team.
I told you yesterday, I love moving around, and I especially love dancing. But about 3 months ago, Mr. Ogira told me something. He said that I can't dance.
Damn.
Why?
I don't know. He said something about being over-reliant on dancing and neglecting my singing. You should stop dancing for now and practice singing.
Oh my god, she's really like an idol. I'm so sorry.
But during your live stream...
She was dancing.
Because I was sad. After I stopped dancing, I lost so many fans. They said terrible things to me, like that I'm worthless if I can't dance.
This fucking emo.
All I have is dancing. Just dancing.
I do apologize if I don't seem as engaged with the plot. I really do not like Iris, and I have been forced to be with her for the last 6 or 7 hours in this game. Mind you, I only have like 12 in it. So yeah.
Horus's arch enemy was Set, his uncle.
His uncle.
Osiris's little brother is Set, and his son is Horus. This Set was an awful guy. One day he tricked and killed Osiris by trapping him in a coffin. So naturally, Horus didn't take that well. Drats! I'll never forgive you, Uncle Set. On the other hand, Set didn't like having Horus around. Ugh, he's so annoying! Osiris said that I was supposed to be king, but now everyone's like, oh, Horus should be king. Are these idiots serious? Horus would be an awful king. Time to go to war! And so, a bloody war broke out, just like that. And the winner was decided by a deadly game.
What kind of game?
They would disguise themselves as hippos, ford the river, and whoever gets to the other side first would win. That's what they decided.
How oddly specific.
So, for 80 years they fought.
80?
It was bloody and horrible. In the end, Horus won. Horus used a spear to cut off Set's foot and wee-wee.
Wee-wee?
Thank you for saying wee wee, because I'm like, why the fuck did she just say that right now?
I believe she is referring to a male.
Oh.
Wait, why are you asking me?
Oh. I see. The way the intonation of her voice at that did not make it seem like these two were connected. I see he cut off his foot and his penis. Got you.
But Horus didn't come out of this unscathed. During the battle, Horus lost his left eyeball to Set. It's said that the left eye survived and traveled all over Egypt, gaining wisdom and experience. Horus had no idea that his left eye was wandering around on its own. What? Where did my eye go? Horus was totally bummed out. He went to see the god of wisdom, the moon, and time, Thoth.
Damn. They had that motherfucker working overtime. He the god of wisdom, the moon, and time?
Damn, Set did that? That's brutal, dude. All right, I'll use my moon power to heal you up. Yay, thank you, Mr. Thoth.
Like, let's pick one. Oh my god. Right. Just like, oh, you know what? Here you go. We ran out of people, so you get the last 3 of them all at once.
Okay, here it goes. Moon healing power.
Sailor Moon reference?
Ring, ring, ring. Thoth cast his spell and Horus's eye came zooming in. Zoom, click. Horus got his eye back.
Okay.
And from that day forward, his left eye had the power of the moon in it. It became the symbol of knowledge and healing, and revered as a sacred icon.
So that's the Eye of Wadjet?
Right.
And it became the Eye of Providence.
Yes.
And do you think that's why we call it the Wadjet system?
Probably, yeah. Horus's mom is named Isis, but in ancient Egyptian, it's pronounced closer to Ise or Aset. How do I explain this? I told you about Horus's dad Osiris. His mom's name is Isis, so Osiris is Isis's husband. Osiris was assassinated by his brother Set. That's what I told you earlier, but there's more to it. After Set killed Osiris, he tore his body to pieces and threw it in the river.
Mind you, earlier she said she don't know that much about Egyptian mythology. or about mythology in general. She has been explaining this for a hot minute. She knows more. She knows more than the average person. Like, let's call a spade a spade.
Isis was devastated. I can't believe I'm a widow at my age. But she didn't let it break her. Because she had the power of life and death.
Oh my god, is she a Libra? She be lying.
Alright, fine. If that's how it's gonna be, I'll just revive my husband. With a group of her friends, she gathered up Osiris's body and started the resurrection ritual.
Actually, don't remember if they show the date of birth. Because now I'm gonna look it up. What's October 26th? Wait, no, that's Scorpio. I'm so sorry, corpse. I'm so sorry. Not too much on the Libra slander. Listen. We got a couple lion Libras in here. Wait, now I just want to know everybody's August 3rd. Oh, you're a Leo. He has my dad's birthday. I already clicked you. Iba? Oh, Iba does have a birthday, November 9th. And who's the lion Libra? You gotta ask that, Bushy. You gotta ask that. Hitomi, May 11th. What is that, a Taurus? How does an I have a birthday? I think that's just the day Aiba was created. Aiba is technically like 5 years old. Renju, April 13th. Aries, I think? Or early Taurus? I don't know. Shoko, Capricorn. Ota, Gemini? Question mark. Mayumi. Is this Virgo? She's a Virgo, right? So Sagittarius? Question mark. Capricorn? I actually don't know. I think Sagittarius is like late November, early December. Sag, okay. I don't be remembering the order for real. Um, this is Capricorn season now though, right? Or is it still, when does Capricorn start? I'm sorry, we just took a sidetrack. Because now I'm just curious in everybody's zodiac sign. Pewter. Aquarius. No. Yes, Aquarius. Mama. I don't know when Scorpio and Libra ends. Libra, okay. MoMA. That's Virgo. Libra. Rohan, Capricorn. 89. Oh. I don't know shit about him except he's in his early 40s. He's serving a life sentence at the Fucho prison for murder. That's all we know. He's kind of sexy, unfortunately. He is. The bodyguard has a birthday, May 25th. I think that's a Taurus. Yakuza A, who the fuck is your hair? September 14th. Is that still Virgo?
Who the fuck did your hair?
Thank you. it looked like a little rhino horn. March 14th. Let's go, Pisces. Wait, it worked. I fixed it like 2 days ago, and then it just never happened. Why does the nurse get a page? Not you did it again. April 27th. Oh, look, there go the receptionist. It's low. 1 second. Don't touch it. Wait a second. I think mix it up. Oop, don't do that. I think mix it up in general. It's just low.
Who the fuck did your hair?
There we go. Her likes and dislikes are funny. Yellow spotted river turtles, men that act like ballers but are really scrubs. Did they listen to Destiny's Child and TLC before they wrote this? Because that's what it's given. She said, "Can you pay my bills?" Okay, sorry. Back to, like, the part of the game.
Live! Shkrr! And so Osiris was revived.
I completely forgot she was like in the middle of an explanation too. We just stopped.
Well, technically he wasn't all there, so he wasn't in one piece. But anyway, Isis was the goddess of life, death, and fertility. She was worshipped by all the land.
Cause she was that girl.
I think I get the picture, but what does that have to do with your own name?
There's a theory that the Greek goddess Iris is really based on the Egyptian goddess Isis.
So Isis and Iris are connected.
Yeah.
And Isis sounded like Aset in ancient Egyptian, which is where your stage name comes from.
That's right. But remember, I didn't come up with the name.
Her uncle.
In the end, we didn't find any new information on Renju, but I'm not too upset. This is what a criminal investigation is about. You don't always find what you're looking for.
Let's get going, Iris.
This was a big ass waste of time.
Yeah, let's go.
Where are we going? Why are we going back to Marble? Didn't it was a shootout the last time we came here.
Where are we going next?
Home.
Marble and Golden Yokocho.
Wasn't that where we were attacked by Nyes?
It'll be fine. I didn't tell anyone we were going there. They won't be waiting for us. Besides, they wouldn't ambush us in the same place twice.
But why Marble?
No reason. I just need to talk to Mama.
Hmm?
Sorry I couldn't come last night.
No, don't worry about it. It was better that you didn't.
Huh?
You didn't hear? There was a shootout right in front of the bar. They closed all of Golden Yokocho down. They were saying something about hitmen suddenly pulling out guns and shooting. They were trying to kill a man and a woman. Wait a minute.
Yep.
I told Mama about last night and about the Nyes it lost too. Let's introduce her. I
Sorry
guess.
for the late introduction. This is Iris.
Nice to meet you.
You could back up a little bit. Oh, she's sitting down. She's just her head just like hop into the frame when it was like over here.
I'm A-set, you bet! Oh, sorry, Habit. I meant Iris.
Oh my, you are so cute. Are you a virgin? You are, right?
Wow. Don't ask that.
Well, yeah.
What a coincidence. Me too.
Well, no shit. You're a fucking inanimate.
Oh, you don't
Anyways.
say.
That being the first thing you ask somebody, it's actually crazy.
I think they must be foreign mafia.
Foreign.
Some kind of international organization. They would do anything for money.
Nyes must have hired them.
Alright, girl.
Sorry, honey, but I don't know a thing about that.
But you're an informant. I'm sure you must know something.
I'm well versed in local information. I know all about Tokyo's underworld, but I can't say much about the rest of the world.
Mama, I want to ask you something.
What is it?
Those gunmen were waiting for us. Did you tell anyone we were coming?
That's right. You did tell Mama that you were coming.
Anyways, good night. Good night, corpse. Sleep tight. Please don't be late for work tomorrow.
And that you were bringing Iris.
This will be uploaded eventually. And the VOD will be
Well-
published after a stream, so you should be cool.
I did tell one person.
You did tell one person. Who did you tell?
Who?
Renju?
The person I was gonna have you meet, of course. Same guy who gave Ren his watch.
What's his name?
Futa, I think.
Futa?
Futa Amanoma.
Futa Amanoma. Wait, we're gagging, but who's that? I don't... Who's Futa?
What?
Oh! Bitch! Pewter?
That's... Pewter.
Wait, hold the fuck up, hold up. We literally just looked at his file and everything. Does his file say that's his name? I'm so dumb. It's right there. Wow. Wait, what's happening? They got shot at the last. So Mama told them to go to the bar to meet somebody who was a friend of Renju's, and they were gonna talk to find like Renju's whereabouts, right? And things happened. Lots of shit happened. They finally make it to the bar, and they got shot at by a group of masked men, and they were unsure who could have possibly like told them where Date and Iris was going. So they were trying to figure out. The only two people that knew, well, the only person we knew prior to this, where yeah, Boss knew. They told Boss, and then they were trying to figure out, like, I was just like, oh, they told Mama, so that Mama is another person that knew, and Mama just revealed that somebody else named Futa Amanoma knows, and we just learned that that is Pewter. So he knew that they were coming here because he was the friend. And I assume now we're going to Abyss. Yep. This thing in this game kind of sucked. Can we get some more action? Please?
There's no one here.
Hmm?
Maybe he went home.
No, that can't be. Pewter is definitely around here somewhere.
Date, your intuition is correct.
He got a gun. He's probably like hiding somewhere and got a gun pointed at
I am
us.
detecting a living organism nearby.
I knew it.
Alright, where this motherfucker hiding at? You in one of these lockers? I don't like that. They could have made this less creepy. I don't like
There's
that.
that bastard.
Wait a minute! Okay, I'll tell you everything.
You told those men that Iris and I were going to Golden Yokocho, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Renju hired them.
Why?
Renju did?
Which means Mr. Okiura is in with Nice.
He folded so quick. Why? He's the worst cop ever. We're just learning more and more that none of the cops do their job correctly. Also, when the dude escaped and he liked and Pewter just sat there and watched, it makes so much more sense now. He didn't give a fuck.
Nice.
Don't play dumb. I know you're with them.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was just helping Renju.
Did you help number 89 get away?
How much does she know?
Just answer the question.
Yes, I did.
See?
It's been bothering me. How was number 89 able to escape from Metro so easily? And you were the one being held hostage. If you were helping him the whole time, it all makes sense.
Bitch, is everybody in on it? Because the boss told him to be in the room with them.
Two days ago, Renju escaped from the hospital.
Right?
Renju asked me on the phone to report everything about Shoko's murder case. That's what he wanted. Yesterday, the boss told me that number 89 was coming. Then, Renju asked, "Is there any way we can let number 89 escape?" I was conflicted. I thought hard about it, but it was Renju asking. Someone I love.
Gay.
And he sounded like he was on death's doorstep. He was begging for help. I couldn't say no. With my intelligence, I was quickly able to come up with a plan. You know what the results were. The escape happened exactly how I described earlier. Though, I wasn't being threatened with a gun.
You were acting, huh? Just pretending to be his hostage.
Yes,
Did number 89 know about the plan?
of course. We discussed it when we were alone in the interrogation room. Naturally, he agreed. I imagine he would have taken any possibility of escape. Even if we failed, he was already serving a life sentence. I may not look it, but I have connections high up at HQ. Friends from my college days. I asked one of them to call up the boss. I don't know. It's true. Please, believe me. Renju said that he needed him. That's all I know.
Is it true that you were the one who gave Renju his watch?
Yes, that's true.
There was no need to ask anything else. I was under the impression that his lover gave him that watch, but that may still be correct. Why did Pewter help Renju? His last answer was all I needed to hear.
I see.
Hi, Queen. I'm just here to say hi before I go to bed. I have dosage exam in the morning. Oh my god. Enjoy your rest. Get a good night's sleep. Make sure you eat some breakfast, stretch, do what you need to do before your exam, and I wish you the very best of luck.
So where is Renju?
Even if I knew, why would I tell you?
Because we got a gun to your head?
Because you don't want more holes in your body than you already have.
Exactly.
You can't.
Why not?
Date, I didn't tell you all this because you were threatening me. I genuinely wanted you to know, to understand the truth, Date.
What are you talking about?
There's a variable you haven't considered. I made Aiba.
And?
You don't get it?
You can control Aiba?
Date, his hands!
Oof.
Date!
Now, come with me.
Damn. Whoops, sorry to her.
Damn it, Pewter!
Date, calm down or it will compromise your ability to drive. If you crash, you will not be able to save Iris.
Where is she?
I don't know.
So then where the hell am I going?
How would I know that? You acted on your own.
What about her phone's GPS?
I tried. It's been turned off.
Then...
It's just an extra precaution. Put it somewhere they won't find it.
Aiba, call Moma, now!
On it.
Finally, some action.
Hey, Date, what's up?
It just, like, took Iris getting kidnapped for the plot to, like, actually move. I explained the situation as fast as I could.
Tessa got kidnapped? Date, you bastard!
I know. Yell at me later. Right now, I need you to tell me where she is.
God damn it!
After a short pause, Moma yelled out.
Koto! Ariake! Harbor Warehouse District!
The warehouse district? Why?
What?
That's where the cold storage warehouse is.
That's where I saw Iris's dead body.
He about to make that dream a reality. Let's go.
Hey, are you listening, asshole?
I've got it, thanks.
I'm on my way there too.
No, you don't have to come. You're cool. You're good. I hope she died for real this time. At least get her out this timeline. $9.29. Suspicious man. Armed guards. What the fuck are they doing for it to be this many people here? Night vision.
Those are the guys who attacked us at Golden Yokocho.
The mercenaries.
How many?
I detect more than we can see. They are positioned all over the area, surrounded. There are portable portable barricades set up in 2 areas in front of the warehouse.
Portable?
They can be moved and erected easily. Each of them carries an assault rifle. Getting through will not be an easy task.
Looks that way.
I'm actually confused on what they want me to do. Cause it's like I don't know what they want me to click on. Like, am I dumb? What are we doing? I can only click on the armed man and the barricade. Like, I can't click the C. I can't turn past a certain point either. Is there something in the barricade? No? So, I'm gonna look this up because I don't know what they want me to do. It's not very clear right now. I probably am missing something that I could click on, but I'm not sure what they want me to click on right now. What day am I on? That would help. Just like there's guards, there's look just above the barricade. Oh, man.
There's a black van parked at the end of the harbor.
I couldn't see that shit.
There are 2 ways to find out. Walk over, knock on the window, and open the door. Or you can use the X-ray mode.
How was I supposed to see that shit from all the way back here? She's moving. She's still alive.
It's Iris.
For now.
Damn it. Is she okay?
Unknown, but at least we know she's alive. The issue now is reaching her.
All right, let's do this.
Hold on. Are you dense? They're gonna blow your brains out.
They got guns?
Yeah, and not just 1 or 2. They all have assault rifles, and they're everywhere.
You can tell? Even in the dark?
Have you forgotten that I found out what was inside your safe? I have superpowers. I can see in the dark, and I have X-ray vision.
Oh, shit, you were serious?
I nodded and told him about the rest. That Iris was in the van at the end of the harbor, and that there are 2 portable barricades on the way there. After I laid it out, I stared into his eyes. Gay?
We need a plan. Can you help me?
Yeah, sure I can. But I need to ask you a few things first.
Okay.
The jackoff who took Tessa. Pewter, right? What's his deal?
I think Renju asked him to do all of this.
Renju?
I told Moma about Renju and Pewter's relationship.
Oh, that's right. Renju was looking for Tessa.
Not only that, in a parallel world, I found Iris's body at an Okiura fishery warehouse.
I've got a bad feeling about this. So these bad guys, why did they take Tessa?
The van's at the end of the row. Okiura fishery cold storage warehouse is right there. They must be planning on taking her inside. Right now, they're probably getting it ready. They've got lookouts waiting outside.
Tessa's in the van down there, right?
Yeah.
In that case, why don't we go around the back?
Unfortunately, that is impossible. The warehouses are flush with the water. The only path to the van is down the front.
I relayed that information to Moma.
Shit. Guess it won't be that easy.
Moma has a hunting rifle.
Moma, that's not a toy, is it?
No fucking way. This is the real deal, baby.
And do you have a permit for that? I am a cop, you know.
Oh, come on. Don't throw the book at me now, Date.
That appears to be a military-grade all-terrain vehicle.
Moma, that vehicle.
That's one of ours. I got it from the army. It's bulletproof, even the windows.
I thought you were trying to run a non-violent gang.
Well, that's exactly why. We got rid of our offense, so we needed a little defense.
I suppose that makes sense, in a way.
So, what's the plan?
Well...
While I was coming up with the plan, a car emerged from the darkness. A car? Now who fucking car is this? Is this Ulta's mom? No. But it was probably her car.
Mizuki, Ota, what are you doing here?
What do you mean?
You contacted us.
No, we didn't.
What?
I sent an IL message to both of them.
Why the fuck would you do that?
Why?
Date, if something happens to Tessa, let me know, okay?
I'll save you no matter what, Iris.
You called in a 24-year-old weirdo and a 12-year-old to go against a group of like 13 men with guns? We're not thinking. We're not using brain power right now.
Promise me.
I promise.
A promise is an inviolable protocol. It must be followed.
Do you know what a white lie is?
No, I am an AI.
You always pull out that excuse when it's convenient.
Besides, Mizuki can be very helpful.
Can she?
And Ota?
Perhaps he can be used as a shield.
You know what? I'm not against using him as a shield.
That's cruel, even for me.
No.
Date? Who are the kids?
Don't call me a kid.
Who's the old man?
Sorry, I was drinking some water. Sighed and shook my head. I made the introductions quickly.
So your 6th grade roommate and a NEET who's trying to get his light novel published?
Oh, clock it.
What good are they?
You don't look very useful yourself, old man.
Yeah, you're all short and scrawny.
Look who's talking.
Shut up, I'm not short. The Earth is just big.
Oh, that's right. Tell him.
That argument is fallacious.
I'm gonna start saying that.
And you're short too.
No way. This isn't even my final form.
Yes, it is. You're 24.
All my joints are folded up. I can get 3 times bigger than this.
Liar!
This went on for a bit. I finally got fed up and shouted at them.
Listen up, you idiots. You're here because you're all ACET fans.
Iris sitting there tied up while they're doing a comedy routine.
Water.
There has to be another like outcome of this.
Wet, sweat, ASET,
Fears.
Upset. Regret. ASAP.
gambling.
Roulette? Bed? ASED.
Yes!
Yes!
Yeah!
Yes!
All right, wrap it up. Let's continue moving
All
with the
right.
plot.
Let's work together and get our Tessa back.
Yeah!
This is our time to unite. Let's show them what we're made of.
Yeah!
Shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, we stand! Show no mercy, for you shall receive none!
Yeah!
It seems they've already become good friends. Iris has extraordinary power.
Good. It's working.
I explained the situation to Mizuki and Ota.
Here's the plan. Ota, can you drive that vehicle? It's bulletproof, so don't worry. They can't shoot you.
I mean,
Yes, sir!
Moma, I need your trigger finger. Get on the back with me and shoot any gunman you can see.
You got it!
And Mizuki, you're our secret weapon. If it all goes south, we're gonna need your powers.
Leave it to me.
your powers.
Hey, Dante, what are you gonna have her do?
She might not look it, but she's something else.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. I forgot. She's super fucking strong. She's super strong. She has a weight bench in his apartment and she was lifting like what, it was like 25 kilograms on each side and then two parts. She was lifting like 200 kilograms. How did you forget that, ma'am? Because it didn't come up until now. Mizuki, even though like she's like the daughter of the murder victim and like the number one suspect right now, she hasn't really had her time to shine in this route. So we don't get that much time with her. I just completely forgot.
They won't take her down without a fight.
You sure about this?
Yup.
Oh,
You should worry more about yourself, Moma.
So, now you know your jobs. This is how we get through. I'm sure I don't need to tell you, but our objective is to reach the end of the harbor. We need to rescue Iris from that van and then get the hell out of here. Any questions?
I wish I started this like an hour earlier.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah, let's lock and load.
We're coming for you, Tessa!
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
This will probably be a shorter stream, to be honest.
Go!
I just want to be done with this entire route. But I think once I'm done with this route, I have to go back and do like the other routes. Operation Rescue Iris begins. What the hell's gonna happen here?
Hey, look! Is that a tank?
All right, let's do this.
Kill him!
Damn, there's too many of them.
I don't think my rifle can handle this many.
I have to think of something.
I thought they were gonna drive straight through. I thought the same thing.
Date, I have a plan.
Is it a good plan?
Just listen. You still have that pornographic magazine, right? Don't act innocent.
You just carrying
Last night,
that on
went back to
you?
Golden Yokocho. You found one of those magazines and hid it in your clothes.
How did you know?
I'm your left eye, Date. Of course I would know. In any case, throw it at the drum.
No.
Why not?
This is a collector's item. It's SSR. I can't just throw it away.
So what is more important to you, Iris or Eros?
Arrow.
Oh.
Hmm?
He said, I am thinking with my dick.
Iris.
Good. Hurry, they're closing in.
Wait. Can't we?
He said that too fast for him to really give a fuck about Iris, and I think that's so funny. Alright, what the fuck they finna have me do? Oh, what the hell is that?
What?
Oh, I'm so sorry!
Get it together, Dante!
Dante! Dante! Dante!
They can't. They can't just throw that at me. It's like my hands wasn't even on the keyboard. Like I wasn't ready.
In any case, throw it at...
There we go.
Take this!
Now he sounded like he crying when he said it.
What? Could it be? The legendary?
Oh, this is amazing. No one back home will believe me.
They're really stupid. Now we're shooting the oral
Dante,
drum.
now! Shoot the drum! Now's no time for crying! The drum contains flammable liquids. Do you understand?
Fine, I got it.
Wait, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, it's this one. Okay.
Oh,
Damn.
On it.
So we're just slowly approaching the barricades?
There's still more of them.
And no more oil drums to blow up.
I'm at my limit here.
Wait. Iba, any ideas?
Let me see. Date, last night, you picked up something else, didn't you? I told you, don't act innocent! I'm talking about the panties and bra you shot down in Golden Yokocho.
I needed it as evidence.
Enough with your pathetic excuses. Just aim under the container.
No.
Damn it, Date!
Him acting like a fucking child right now is sending
give
me.
this to Reika as a gift.
Reika?
Someone else's underwear?
Wine and underwear are best when aged.
You're a freak.
That's a famous saying in France.
Mm-hmm.
That is not true.
Dante, what are you doing?
Iris is in trouble.
Alright, let me get fingers on the board.
Date!
Okay. I just gotta throw it, right?
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Goodbye!
I want to take a
What the
quick shower
hell?
of BRB. No problem.
This must be a gift from heaven! So wet as it gets.
Wow.
So dirty. Shameless. Absolutely shameless.
Okay.
Good. That went well. Now, if we can cause that container above them to fall.
We're gonna squish them?
I see it. I could shoot the cable.
Can you make the shot?
Oh, we're killing them.
Then let's go.
Because there's no way they're gonna, like, this is not normal. They're not gonna survive that big ass container falling on them.
Oh shit, move!
Okay.
Let's go.
Roger.
This is not as exciting as I thought it'd be. We're just like slowly going through the barriers, and I just they've lost me. I'm playing this until this day and the game ends, and then I'm wrapping it up. We gonna save this. We're doing too much now.
The last one.
Once we get through here, then...
What's the plan? Fine then. My turn.
Wait! Mizuki! Oh, that idiot!
Date, Mizuki can't do this alone.
Oops, I clicked off the game, and I moved the screen. The 12-year-old just running into after gunfire, like that's what happens when you bring a 12-year-old? Yeah.
I know. Moma, cover me.
Hey, wait up!
Oh my god, she has her fucking pipe. Who wins? Armed
Seriously?
mercenaries with guns or a 12-year-old with a lead pipe?
Don't test me, motherfucker!
Their aim sucks bad. How did none of them shoot her? I don't know. Like, she was standing right in front of them. And then this useless motherfucker just in the car cheering.
Mizuki!
Thank you.
My goddess, your chariot has arrived.
Date!
Ota, mission complete.
All right, got it.
I just learned something. I just learned I accidentally did the iris route first. So that's why we've been getting so much iris. I accidentally went with her route first because yeah. After that we split and booked it. Momo got behind the wheel of his vehicle, Ota took the van, and I got my into my own car. Mizuki went with Oda and Iris came with me. We drove off as fast as we could in different directions. The rain poured down endlessly. At least we have a good route with less iris coming up. Just gotta finish this one. It ends on day 6 apparently, and I'm on day 5. I do see that there's a Somnium, and then there's going to be a short day 6 scene. The neon lights of the city blurred faintly through the fine drops of rain.
Date, Moma and Mizuki contacted us. They're all safe.
Good.
I breathed a long sigh of relief.
Yeah, I'm a lot better actually. Sorry, by the way.
During our escape, Iris got motion sickness. I decided to pull over to Ikume's shrine so she could rest.
Oh, and thank you. I never thanked you for saving me.
You should be thanking those 3. Some bodyguard I am. I put you in danger.
That's not true. If it wasn't for you, I would have... Anyway, there's nothing else to say but thank you. Do you think the Fruit of Immortality really exists?
The legend about the shrine?
Yeah.
I told you yesterday, I don't believe in that stuff.
I see.
But you do believe in parallel worlds and secret...
Because I experienced that in Iris' Somnium.
I didn't mean to skip that, my bad.
This could be a negative side effect of the sync. It is possible that you've been emotionally compromised by Iris's morbid inner consciousness.
Emotionally?
Well, there is no point in discussing this now.
Looking at the iris again?
Oh, yeah. I can't see it well in the rain.
You must really like that flower.
Of course, we share the same name.
Iris, the rainbow goddess.
Yeah. That's what Uncle taught me.
The uncle again.
Perhaps it is not the flower itself that Iris likes.
Nothing in particular. I didn't talk to him at all in the car.
What about the group of gangsters?
They were all speaking different languages, so I didn't understand anything. I used to love Uncle. Not like romantically. I was 12 at the time, and Uncle was already in a relationship.
You mean with your mom?
Oh, you knew about that?
I've heard a lot. Like the Okonomiyaki incident?
Yeah, the picture I drew.
Right.
We were always like that. We always acted silly and played around and stuff. I remember that in 6th grade, Uncle and I used to play hand games. Like bratty cakes. It's like patty cakes mixed with rock, paper, scissors. Ratty cake, baker's man. Bake me a cake as fast as you can. Pat it, poke it, fill it with fruit. Put it in the oven. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I win! Yay! I don't know. I only called him Uncle. Mama called him Falco.
Bitch.
Falco?
it a funny name?
Yeah, it's very funny. Very funny. We love the name Falco. Hi, Super Mew. Welcome to AI Assignment Files Hell. Is this my first time playing it? It might as well be. Watched someone play like the full game in like 2019, but I can't remember a lick of what happened. So pretty much just pretty much first run at this point. I don't remember enough to warrant even saying that I watched gameplay of it.
Sort of weird for a Japanese man.
How's your flowchart? This is the current flowchart right now. I saw you dealt with Minecraft first. Excellent. Child, I hated that Somnium. Well, no, if the Somnium wasn't bad, I don't really like Iris.
Oh,
And I somehow
maybe he
fucking picked
wasn't
her root
Japanese.
first.
I never found out where he was from.
Before he met me, he committed some terrible crime.
It appears that Hitomi and the assassin number 89 were dating.
What?
How the hell do
Now
you just...
you have to take the penalty. Up, side to side, up, down, pinch.
And number 89 is with Renju now.
Is this your first Uchikoshi game? Yes and no. Yes, it's the first one I'm playing myself. I do know they created the Zero Escape franchise, and I've seen gameplay of all of them and all the routes. I'll just wait a little. I have all the games myself too, but I'll have to wait a little bit longer until I forget like what happens in the game to actually play it for myself. And I also played the 100 line Last Defense Academy. Don't tell me anything about that. I'm still working on that one. That's a honker of a game. And that's like the collab game they have with the creator Danganronpa. It's really good. Enjoy that one a lot. But this is the first one I'm playing myself.
What the hell is going on here?
I didn't keep my promise.
Promise?
Oh, see, the morally gray woman, it that took like a backseat because I know when I think of this creator, I think of timeline shenanigans, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. So I know I'm in for a treat.
Did you forget? I told you that I would tell you who my late night visitor was if you went on a date with me.
Oh, right.
And we went on a date, so
Some fucking date this was.
guess I'll tell you now. Sunday at 2 a.m., I was visited by
Number 89.
Renju Okiura.
Oh, okay. So I was right. She just like, delayed telling us this by 2 days, even though I guessed it when it happened. Whatever. Hitomi, one of the worst mothers ever. I can't breathe. She had this violent criminal around her daughter. This violent criminal and the mafia around her daughter. Yeah. And characters that give you 5-minute lessons on a 1900 psychology experiment in the middle of the plot. Yeah. Yeah. He also talks about topics people don't care about. Yeah. I genuinely believe he makes these games to tell us a stupid fun fact. He's like, well, actually, so this thing that no one really gives a fuck, let's go like deep dive into this. And I'm gonna create an entire game to just center around this one specific instance because you need to know about this one thing. And you may think it's boring and stupid, but somehow it relates to the overall arching theme of the game. That's this creator.
What?
I really don't like that, like, she held the fact that she saw Renju over our heads for like 2 entire days and just had us take her on some kind of bullshit tour before she told us anything.
He seemed really sick, probably because of his injury. At the time, I had no idea what had happened to him.
Renju's hair is stupid. It is.
He was sweating buckets and he came up to me with this begging look in his eyes.
Who the
He
fuck
said,
did
"Come
your
with
hair?
me." He seemed really desperate.
And I'm mad
I
at
couldn't say
Pewter
no.
moving you to iPad. Thank
So I got
you.
into
Put me
his
on a
rental
bigger
car.
screen. Unless I'm going from computer to iPad, then that's a downgrade.
We went somewhere, I don't know where, some deserted building. Mr. Okiura got out of the car, then grabbed my hand. He tried to pull me inside. I got scared. I pulled my hand away and ran. Mr. Okiura has done so much for me. He took care of me as a kid. He helped me at Lemniscate. I wanted to trust him. No matter what happens, I can't think of him as a bad person.
Okay, but what if he committed murder?
I mean, he never did anything bad to me.
Oh, you're one of those. Well, he never did anything bad to me, so
He came to my house at 2 in the
it
morning
can't
and
be
tried to
that
take me to an
bad.
abandoned building, but you never know. Maybe he wanted to show me some flowers or something that he found.
Girl.
Or it was like a prank he was filming for the internet or something. And that's what I thought at the time. That's what I kept telling myself. But after hearing everything you've told me, I can't see Mr. Okiura the same way. Maybe he's a part of Nice. Maybe he's trying to... Well, I didn't go home. I thought he might come back. I just walked around and went into a bunch of stores. Restaurants, coffee shops, net cafes. I was afraid that he would try to call me, so I turned off my phone too. And then at night, around 7 I think, I turned on my phone and got a Nile message from Mizuki. I want to stay at your place. I met up with her and took her home. I thought having her around would comfort me. I don't know.
Iris has no father figure and the only man in her life is gone, so it makes sense that she's so trusting. You can just not have a father figure and still be weary of people. She was trusting because she knew of the person and they helped. But you can tell that, like, nothing has ever really fucking happened to her for her to, like, just be wary of even people that you know and trust. I feel bad for her, but it really makes no sense that we let this 17-year-old dominate our whole investigation and waste our time on nonsense. Like, a wanted assassin, not even an assassin escaped prison like 2 days ago, and we have been stuck with this girl trying to just figure out who went to her house at 2 o'clock in the damn morning. We haven't even begun to think about like all the other stuff going on with the case. We have been so stuck on her that everything regarding I it honestly, it feels like we're not even investigating a murder anymore. Like, all of that doesn't make sense. The entire focus right now is Iris, which is very annoying. Because we're like, okay, so fuck Shoko dying. Fuck the assassin that escaped. Fuck Renju. He's somewhere. We haven't gotten any information about where Renju is. Would have been helpful if she, like, she told us she saw Renju at 2 o'clock 2 days ago, but
Iris, I need you to tell me one thing. Where did Renju take you? Where did he take you exactly?
the cold storage warehouse, I bet.
It's been closed for 8 years.
Cold storage warehouse.
The chemical plant in the Kawasaki district.
The chemical plant? Oh. Yeah, I'm not asking that. Let's go. She's kind of a master manipulator. I am just waiting for a route that has significantly less Iris in it.
Is this the place?
Yes.
Where did Renju try to take you?
That door in the back.
The sync machine. That must be the prototype that was stolen 6 years ago.
This is...
A sync machine. Though it appears to be slightly different than the one in Abyss.
Could this be the prototype Peter was talking about?
The Chiba Police Department was working on a prototype, but it was stolen 6 years ago.
But what is it doing here? Hey, Iris! Are you okay? Iris, stay with me!
Date, Iris's vital signs are going critical.
What? Why?
Unknown, but I believe the issue is with her brain.
Her brain?
Part of her brain is experiencing massive failure. If this continues...
Let's get her to a hospital.
Impossible. You do not have enough time. I estimate that Iris's brain can last only 10 to 15 more minutes before the damage is irreparable.
How do you know that?
I have scanned and analyzed her thoroughly. Her symptoms indicate that she will die within minutes.
What?
Did they drug her or something?
What?
Yay, it's crazy.
I'll use the sync machine here to go inside her brain.
That will not cure her condition.
I'm not trying to cure her. 2 days ago, I saw her dead body. After that, we went into Sosajima's brain. And in his Somnium, I saved Iris. And somehow, I saved Iris in the real world, too.
Maybe you were in a parallel world or something.
If I do the same thing again...
You think you can save her?
Yes. Aiba, please, help me.
Is that an order?
Yes.
Then I suppose I have no choice. My mission is to support you.
All right. We don't have a lot of time. Let's get moving.
Date, this device is a prototype. It is not identical to the one at Abyss.
You said that already, so what?
I do not know how to reset it. There must be a manual of some kind. We need to find that before we begin. Date, is that thing on the shelf?
Found it! I don't believe it.
Date, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
The iron he's wearing over his eyes. It's they have that in the other facility too. It's just fucking Shovel Forge.
Shovel Forge again?
What is your obsession with this game, girl?
This looks kind of like the other time I synced with Iris, but there's a different atmosphere now. By the way, what happened to your usual appearance?
I decided to hold back this time. This is no time to be playing around. Putting that aside, you want to help Iris, correct? Then we need to hurry.
So what do we need to do?
Care to ask the owner of this world?
She's lost consciousness, even in her own Somnium.
That proves how critical her condition is. Whoa!
Give the fruit of the Tokiji Kuno Kaku, for you shall then be blessed with eternal life.
What was that?
I do not know, but it appears as though we have no choice but to believe those words.
The fruit of immortality, huh? But I don't see any fruit.
We need to do something about this beam of light first.
I've seen that monument before, but back then...
Somnium scan! Activate!
Oh. To save Iris, you'll need to give her the fruit of immortality.
An egg-shaped monument.
It looks more like a sugar cube to me.
Did you know that there's collectibles in this game? Yes. They're not very common.
I see. Putting this here cuts off the light.
And you can really only get them in the Somniums.
I feel like I've seen this in a movie.
Don't you mean you've seen this in Iris's Somnium?
Just put it down. Huh?
No, this is... I see.
Did you figure something out?
I'm just making a star.
This might turn into a pentagram.
I gotta go, but be safe. Well, thank you, Super Mew, for stopping in. I'm glad you enjoy the game and that you can enjoy it for right now. Sorry if I was irritating. No, you were fine. You didn't backseat. You were just asking where I was. If you'd have just been like, "Oh, you need to do this, that, and a third," then I would have been like, "Okay, you can chill." But you were pretty cool. If you would like to stop by again, feel free. But you are not obligated to. Hope you have a great rest of your night.
Oh, I get it. That means...
Yes, that leaves this remaining.
You know what? This is so random. I really suck at like saying goodbye or like ending calls and stuff because I work in a call center. The end of my calls be awkward as hell because I'm just like, okay, cool. What do I say? I have to practice what I say before I say it because otherwise I'm just gonna sound like a blubbering fool. Or I'll repeat the same thing and be like, oh yeah, thank you for
Chozuya.
calling, blah blah blah. Have a great day. And they'll be like, oh yeah, enjoy your rest of your night. I'm like, oh yeah, enjoy the rest of your night too. Have a great day. And like, I already said that, but my brain, it doesn't register until after I said it. I'm like, oh. So yeah, just wanted to say that.
Hmm?
Now what the fuck? Bye, love you. I mean, see you tomorrow. I mean, I have not told anybody at my job I love you on accident.
It's this man.
That'd be really funny
You know him?
if I did, though.
Yes. He is a mysterious figure that has appeared in numerous unrelated people's dreams.
Oh my god, wait, that guy who appears in everyone's dreams? The fact that you knew that?
In other words, an urban legend of sorts.
You know a lot about him.
There are many theories. Some believe that he is made up, a conspiracy, or a part of some kind of experiment. Another theory is that an actual person dove into other people's dreams. If you're interested, I can tell you more.
No, thank you.
A Chozuya. Let me see. There's something here.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
A monument. If you place it against the light, it will complete the pentagram.
Do it. What?
They have appeared before. It may symbolize Iris's insecurities. Whoa! We have to deal with them before we find the Fruit of Immortality.
But what do you want me to do?
They don't want us to complete the pentagram.
Is that why they attacked the Chozuya and Irises?
But this pedestal has not been attacked. They cannot attack it for some reason.
You think so?
What other explanation could there be? As long as there is even a slight possibility, we must try.
You're right.
Thinking about what worked previously, we need to make a pentagram, but the attack has scrambled everything. We do not have time for trial and error. Think carefully.
And by think carefully, she means cheat, because I'm not doing this by myself. Alright, where is... It went Peach B. So, we're here. It's like... over here.
A pedestal with a... Understood. Where would you like me to place? A pedestal with... Understood.
And then pick up from blue monument. Where's the blue one? Over here? No.
An egg-shaped monument. Understood. Where would you like me to place it?
No, that's not the one. This one.
A pedestal with nothing on top of it. Understood.
And then egg from yellow. What's going on here? I don't know. That's why I'm looking this shit up, because I'm not, my brain
An
not figuring this shit
egg-shaped
out by
monument.
myself.
Understood. Where would you like me to place it? A pedestal with nothing on top of it. Upsy daisy!
What does that mean?
I was merely trying to lighten the mood.
I appreciate the thought, but
Oh, okay. The light!
the pentagram's complete.
What?
The world is...
What the fuck is going on in this little girl's mind?
It's breaking down!
Sorry to everybody who's not in the well-lit room right now. She didn't even try to have good thoughts. I don't know. This looks like it's good thoughts,
The
at
Shovel
least.
Forge world disappeared. I am back to my usual appearance.
What about Iris?
It appears that she is unharmed.
Give the fruit of the Tokiji Kuno Kaku, for you shall then be blessed with eternal life.
Aiba, the door to the shrine opened. Is that the fruit of immortality?
It appears to be the seed of a citrus fruit of some kind. But we need the actual fruit.
That voice said something about the fruit of immortality. I wasn't expecting it to be literal.
Some believe that the fruit of immortality is a Tachibana orange. The Tachibana orange comes from a variety of evergreen trees. So we are looking for some kind of fruit. Fruits have edible flesh surrounding the seeds.
Right, but if we only have the seed...
This is a dream world. If we plant it now, it may grow quickly.
This is all in Iris's head? Yes.
Aiba, you ready to slash and burn?
I see. If we plant it there...
It sprouted.
This must be a positive sign.
With the ashes as compost, then all we need is...
It's a Chozuya. Why is it not broken? You do know this is not the Shovel Forge world, correct?
But there's a pickaxe on the ground there.
Pickaxe? You're right. But why? The pickaxe even looks strange.
Maybe Iris left it behind because she wanted you to use it.
Perhaps. I'll use it. Whoa!
It's raining. So this is the fruit of immortality.
We need to hand this over to Iris.
Right. Hurry. Wait for me, Iris. I'm coming!
What? Iris is unconscious.
I love that I could just make that 10 seconds. Even though I don't need the extra time, because this is the last thing. They want to just show her panties so bad, and I don't care. This is a fucking minor. I don't want to see her.
Thank you.
And if she wasn't, she was fucking annoying. I don't care. Alright, it's like almost 2 a.m. I'm still on this same damn day. But it should be over pretty soon. I got an achievement. It's Wednesday now.
Oh, good. You're awake.
I was wondering if that was what happened. And I see now that that is what happened. Oh my god. Did do you think whoever stole this shit tried to sync with Shoko?
Date, thank you for everything you've done for me.
Huh? What are you talking about?
I'm gonna die, aren't I?
No. Don't talk crazy. I synced with you to save you. This has to be the timeline where you live.
I don't want to die yet. I don't want to die. Don't want to die. I met you. I wanted to spend more time with you. I wanted to go places.
I'll take you. I'll take you wherever you want. I'll take you to Ichirup, Kunashir, Shikotan, Habamai. Anywhere you want, Iris.
Really?
Yes.
I'm gonna be okay?
Of course. You won't die, I promise.
Okay. I'm glad. I'm not gonna die. I can be with you forever.
Of course you can. You're gonna live, Iris, forever and ever. You'll become a grown woman, get married, have kids. I'll even babysit them for you.
Tate, thank you. These past few days have been so much fun. Please, Mr. Dante! You can't leave me! Your back is so warm, Mr. Date. It feels like I've met you before. Then go on a date with me. And the Greek goddess of rainbows. You're the only person I can trust. Dante! Put it in the oven. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot! Dante, can you tell me one last thing? I've been looking. Are you...
No, no, Iris. You can't die. Please, Iris. Iris. Iris!
What? I took 5 minutes to wash my face and now her eyes have gone? Oh, she's really dead? So, to use the prototype for the sync thingy, you have to gouge out the eye and use and like connect it directly to the eye socket. Oh my god, credits! Oh my god, she's really dead. Yes, that was the end of the Iris route. I'm so happy we got this first though, because that means I'm going to care more about the rest of the game. Would I like to save? Yes. We're on almost 14 hours. There are still mysteries left unsolved. The real culprit, the incident 6 years ago in Dante's past. The story's branching points are insomnia. Use the flowchart to join between branching points in Somnium. It may be hidden somewhere in the dream world. Find a new way forward. Alright, the game is telling me this is the end of the road for this one. It folds inside. This is not connecting with anything else. This is not going anywhere else. That's it. I don't know what man wrote her. Uchikoshi. That is the creator of this game. I wonder what that one is. I'll honestly probably end up doing this route first. Just because, I wouldn't have to do like, there so much happened from here to here. So much happened from here to here. And with this one, this is going to be like pretty much all new dialogue and whatever happens over here. So I think I'm going to do this side first. This one, this is when we did the Nizet laws. Thank you. We believed Iris, and that is what it led to her death. I wonder what happens if we don't believe her. Where we will end up there. But this is an amazing place to stop. Because I'm probably not gonna. Do I want to pick this game up tomorrow? What is tomorrow? Tomorrow, or well, tonight, because it's technically 2 a.m. for me. So if I play it when I get off work and just like continue this route, I wonder how many hours it would take me to finish. I want to get to this route as soon as possible, but I also don't want to leave this part left undone because it just means we're just saving more Iris content for later. And I'm pretty sure there's gonna be Iris content on here. Anyways. I wonder if I have to do the Somnium again too. For right now though, that will be all. I do apologize. That wasn't the best. It wasn't the most exciting due to, like, the presence of Iris, but it wasn't too much I could do about that. Oh my god, I said I was gonna stop at 2. Guess what time it is? It's exactly 2 a.m. This is not the end of Iris. It truly is not. She is on the cover art. I know it's going to be a lot of Iris in this game. We still haven't figured out what happened with her frozen body and why she was stabbed and placed into a warehouse. We don't know what's going on with that. Again, this route really sucked because it's just like, what did we accomplish for real? What did we accomplish? We didn't find out the murder. We never even saw Renju. We let an assassin escape. It's like I didn't know what the point of that route was. Maybe it was for the Iris fans, but I'm not an Iris fan, so that kind of sucked to get that route first. But like, we did fuck all to solve the mystery of that one. What about Pewter? I mean, we discovered Pewter was working with Renju. But you'll probably learn that regardless. I don't know. I'm yawning. Let's see. I really was fighting the urge to say clap if you care when she was dying.